Alright, just to preface this upcoming Murrow article, there had been a huge gap in the articles, okay? The previous one had been on June 2nd, and then there was a huge unexplained gap, and then June 29th of 2010, finally the next one came out, and it was titled this: Scribe returns from involuntary overseas journey, by Murrow. At last I set foot again on my native Krytan soil. Several weeks ago, while I was travelling to the Delesio seaboard to interview a farmer who had reported an inhuman six-eyed thing that floated in the air, I was detained by White Mantle Inquisitors. They were well acquainted with my writings and expressed their opinion that my chronicles of the Krytan War were nothing more than rebellious propaganda. I explained that I merely wrote truthfully about what I had seen and heard in my travels throughout Kryta, but this would not satisfy them. They discussed at length amongst one another what was to be done with me. Several inquisitors favoured hanging me from a nearby tree, while several others proposed casting me into exile. Given the circumstances, I thought it wise to remain quiet while the White Mantle debated. Finally, they decided on exile and placed me on a spy ship bound for Cantha. I was told that if I ever set foot on Kryta again, they would fit me with a hangman's collar. After a long sea journey with inedible food and terrible weather, I arrived in Cantha and promptly boarded the next ship bound for Kryta. This vessel was packed with salted reef lurker meat and stunk badly, but the winds favoured us, and we arrived back in Tyria in a week's time. Now I have returned and much has changed. It seems that Salma's royalist faction has gained momentum in this war with the help of foreign adventurers. Is the nightmare nearly over? Is the final battle for Kryta upon us? July 1st, White Mantle forces allegedly mobilising, by Murrow. According to unsubstantiated reports, the White Mantle is assembling their forces for a massive confrontation with the Shining Blade. I've heard reports from common folk fleeing south, fearful of being caught in the path of the huge assemblage if it marches on Lion's Arch. I will investigate these claims as best I am able and provide more information tomorrow. Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So what's cool about that Murrow article, not the second one, the first one, what's really cool about that actually is that's the first time, as far as I remember, there might have been like an in-game update, an out-of-game update description that said it something like it once before, but that's the first time I know of anyway, that we ever actually heard how long it takes or got a rough idea of the distance of Tyria from Cantha. You know, we knew it was a long way away, but we didn't know quite how long, and there we hear with good winds it can take you about a week, and we have to assume with bad weather it takes about 2 or 3 weeks, because that's how long he was away. He was away for about a month. So that article was obviously written just to explain. I guess the writers got a little bit bored in all the time it took for all of War in Kryta to be updated, and they just couldn't keep writing stories every day, so they kind of took a month off, and that was kind of their explanation for what happened to Murrow there. But it is pretty cool. What I mentioned with the game updates there is that what used to happen, particularly when factions came out, there were like updates that were sort of being sent out on the official Guild Wars website, and they were like pretty cool bits of lore actually, sort of letters between Menlo and Togo, talking to each other and sort of explaining how Menlo got the message from Togo and how he came to Cantha and stuff. So there could have been information there, but I don't remember ever reading any. But that's pretty cool. I quite like that. So yeah, and a big confrontation's coming. I did mention this at the end of the last video. We heard from Dinas when we were in the last mission that they were all assembling up here at Demetra, and we're not 100% sure why, but a big force seems to be amassing up there, and yeah, we're actually in the final stretch of the War in Kryta. I'm gonna say it like this, and it will sound like it's not very much left at all. 2 quests, that's it. 2 quests left for the War in Kryta, and we're done. But you know me, we'll probably drag it out a little bit. There's quite a lot going on. These last 2 quests are fantastic. They're really good. This one coming up, I'm particularly enjoying, and yeah, I've probably got a lot to talk about as we go through actually, because there's a hell of a lot of dialogue to go through. I do have some other stuff to talk to you about as well, so I'll have to try and find a moment to squeeze that stuff in, but yeah, so we'll come up here and we will speak to Salma. She hasn't got the quest. Doesn't Dinas come in? Yeah, here we go. So Dinas is coming in. He comes running up and he says, Your Highness, if you're doing this in order, by the way, and you just accepted the quest from Salma, Dinas won't come up. You have to like zone out and then zone back in. Don't let that catch you out. So you do have to go out and back in, and then Dinas will appear here. You alright, man? This is our inside man. Remember we saw him in the last mission? He was with that other White Mantle guard. Councillor Vela says, Great bloody Balthazar, Dinas, what are you doing here? So Vela, of course, from the Maguma jungle. I love it every time he has a line. It's like, yes. And Watchman Arid as well. I have urgent news, Your Highness. Please hear me. What could this urgent news be? What I was literally just talking about, maybe? Of course, catch your breath and then tell me this urgent news. Maybe I should have been voicing him all out of breath. Come on, catch your breath, man. Alright, don't take too long. It is urgent news. I've come straight from Dimitra, and things are far worse than I expected. There you go. Was that convincing? Nice little out of breath there. If it wasn't convincing, my answer to that is that he's already had time to catch his breath. He says, while you've busied yourself with taking out smaller targets, the mantle has been quietly filtering troops to Dimitra, where the true leadership is stationed. Oh, alright, so basically in this line, he turns around and says, everything you've been doing, it's been trivial, they've been small targets, you've not really been doing your job, and he's kind of just shat all over everything we've done. Thanks, man. Thanks. That's the Queen there. You shouldn't really be saying that, should you? Now that Willem, Koril, and Ailey have been defeated, the remaining Messart are determined to end this conflict. Remember, there are 4 Messart left. 4 of them. And supposedly they're all at Dimitra. As we speak, they prepare to march for Lion's Arch with all the men they've mustered. Their intention is to kill you, Princess. It kind of speeds up quite a lot here, I feel like, the storyline. I don't know. I vaguely remember not expecting it to do this when this update came out. But yeah, I can't remember whether the last 2 quests came out at the same time or just this one came out and then we waited a while and then the last one came out. I think we did wait a while. Vader says, Sweet Dwayne, we do not have the troops here to repel that kind of an attack. Highness, you must send word to Bartholos at once. We will need every able-bodied soul from the Dakatu camp to defend Lion's Arch. I love the way he calls that the Dakutu camp. I love the way he calls that because the whole time it's just been referenced to the Shining Blade camp. But there has been obviously the lore that the fact is it's actually a village there that's sort of housing these people. And it's so cool that actually they do acknowledge that fact here, finally. Agreed, we must get word to Livia and hope those Asuran geniuses of hers will have held up their end of the bargain. So it's all coming together. I'll be happy to go speak to Blim. In fact, I just did a dungeon video where we were talking to Blim, which was very fun and very awesome. Dynas, thank you for risking your life to bring us this news. With this, your work within the White Mantle is complete. Kryta thanks you for your tireless service. Yeah, I guess you kind of helped, I suppose. You gave us a bit of information earlier. Not like I've done a lot, is it, Salma? Hey? Where's my reward? I'm grateful to serve my queen and have my country. Sorry. I'll remain here should you have need of me again. Sure thing. What does he actually say if we click him? Anything interesting? I must stay close should the princess need my insight. Do you really have that? Oh yeah, I guess. He's an inside man. He does have insight. Thank you. I'm sure we will have questions for you about the mantle's defences very soon. Okay. So are we done here? Are we going to do something? I guess I'm the lackey. I'm the one that's going to be speaking to Bartholos. So Dinas walks off over there and we can actually go get the quest. I don't think he has any part to play at all anymore. We've already seen all the old men dialogue, haven't we? I think we have. So we're going to speak to Salma and kick this off. So, nice big wall of text. It's weird, most people kind of shudder to see this kind of thing, but I've been conditioned now, and it's got to be mostly through the Let's Play. I've been conditioned. When I see shit like this, I'm like, oh yes, this is so juicy, brilliant. Okay, so, as you have heard, the White Mantle have amassed their army and are preparing to march on Lion's Arch. As one of our most trusted and expeditious agents, I want you to be my herald at this critical time. Sweet, so we are the Queen's herald. That's pretty damn cool, actually. This is very important and time is short, so listen closely. First, you must make haste for the Dakutu camp in Talmark Wilderness and direct Bartholos to bring us our forces here by ship. From that, I love this sort of aspect of the quest as well. It's so cool. You don't see it happen, but it is cool. From there, head to the lab in Divinity Coast via the secret river passage and escort Livia, the Asura, and their weapon here. It is desperately important that they arrive safely, but that's not even your most important task. Along the way, and I think she's quite a good queen here as well. This is what she deems the most important task. Along the way, there are 3 stops you must make to evacuate those in the White Mantle's path. Warn Elder Hezron in Beetleton, Elder Sobel in Nibu Village, and Captain Greywind in the Ascalon. Captain Greywind! Oh, that's amazing. I love how he's actually, even very vaguely, actually in the storyline. He's like the last Ascalonian badass. These innocents must be safe, but I cannot spare any men to guard them. Please convince them to leave their homes for just a short time so they might return to them unharmed. Yeah, if the White Mantle don't burn them down. If you complete these tasks, all of Kryta will be in your debt. What I really like here, actually, is that basically the assumption is now all of the populace, none of them are sided with the White Mantle anymore, really. None of them are. All these places, we're just assuming will want to flee the White Mantle and that the White Mantle will attack them if the White Mantle get in their way. And that's quite a cool thought, don't get me wrong. But one thing we shouldn't forget, okay, which I think is very easy to overlook, and I think maybe even ArenaNet overlooked it a little bit themselves, The White Mantle are Krytans, okay, they are Krytans, and we're going to see a lot of them in a minute. We're going to see a hell of a lot of White Mantle over these next few quests, and they're Krytans, so, you know, there's this assumption here, there's this kind of feeling, oh, nobody likes them, but there are obviously a hell of a lot of Krytans willing to fight for them. I think what would have been interesting that was a bit of a missed opportunity in Kryta is, you know, this is a civil war, right, so it would have been quite cool to have seen something, maybe, let's just say the Ascalon settlement for example's sake, even though maybe that's not the best example since they're probably all Ascalonians at heart anyway, but taking that as an example, it would have been nice if we could have gone to like the Ascalon settlement and there was a quest or two where you got to talk to a lot of the villagers, and some of them were sort of fighting each other and they were all a bit angry, and basically the town was split in two of who they were sided with, and maybe there were a few quests trying to convince some others, or maybe it all ends in bloodshed in the end and it's all very depressing and bad. But anyway, in any case, this is what Salma deems our most important task, actually helping these people, which I think is really cool. Your trust has not been... Wow, we spent so long on this little quest box here. Your trust has not been misplaced. Together we will make Kryta safe once more. This is more than I can commit to. Someone more dedicated would be better for the task. It just... it's so ludicrous. Why are there declined dialogues? Like I would get this far in War in Kryta. Like I would get this far, and then I'd turn around and be like... I don't think so. I'll see you later. No, I'm just gonna stop now. And you know, it's not even like, fine, people might stop playing the game at this point. They might get bored. Fine, whatever. I can appreciate that. But they're not gonna go pick up the quest, read it, and then be like, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with this. So it's just... declined dialogues. They are not needed in this game. They're not needed in many MMOs, let's be honest here. And I don't even think... But where there's no traditional quests really in Guild Wars 2, there's no decline like dialogue really there. You'll usually get like 4 options. You'll get 3 that are sort of a way to accept a task or speak to someone or ask someone something in sort of a different way depending on what kind of personality you want to have. Like you could ask it charmingly, or you could like intimidate them and stuff like that. And then you get a 4th option that's just like say nothing. And that's pretty much it. You don't need a decline option. Anyway, right, so yeah, our first stop is to go back to the Shining Blade camp. This is actually, if you organise yourself quite well, okay, and I obviously didn't when I was Let's Playing this, but if you just did the bare bones of the War in Kryta, and in fact, I should probably mention this, if you just did the bare bones can include, you know, all that stuff we did with Gwen and Thackeray, and how the Even Falcons are down here in the War in Kryta right now, you can actually, and I shit you not, you can complete the War in Kryta without the Even Falcons ever getting involved at all. And you might be like, well, hold on, doesn't that change history quite seriously? Because after the War in Kryta, what happens is there's like a small follow-up chapter, which ArenaNet kind of say is like part 2 of Guild Wars Beyond, like War in Kryta is part 1, and that's what they kind of act as part 2 kind of thing. It's not really, because it's quite short in my opinion, but we're going to treat it like that because they do it. And it's called Hearts of the North, right? And that's like a follow-up to the War in Kryta, and that depends, none of those events would happen if the Even Falcons didn't come here to the War in Kryta, but you can still skip all of it, and it's a bit weird when you do. If you want to then do Hearts of the North after it and you've skipped all of that stuff out, you have to like party up with someone who's in the middle of the War in Kryta to get the progress where you need it and stuff, but you can do it. But anyway, yeah, my original point is, if you were to do just the bare bones of the War in Kryta, which I've not been doing because like I've been opening up most episodes going back to this camp, you only have to go to the camp a couple of times. Like if you see Zin's trial before you come to the camp the first time, it's really not so bad. You just like go here once or twice at the start, and that's it. And now right at the end, this is the only other time you have to come back here. I will be coming back twice, because once we've done this quest, it actually opens up another. It's very minor. I don't get excited about it, but I'm, you know, a little bit of a completionist, I suppose. So I'm going to be showing you it anyway. But there is something else that happens there after you've completed this quest. So I'll be going back twice, but like this is really the only other time you have to make this trek. So for me, like I'm feeling a little bit sick right now, looking at this goddamn walk over and over and over again, but it does give me a chance to talk about my interview. It's been a while since I've done the War in Kryta again, God, actually. But I last you guys heard, I had the interview. I thought it went really well. It did pretty well. I didn't get the job, but it's not that bad really. I don't really mind about not getting the job, because at the same time, it doesn't sound like many people who are on my course, because I don't know how much I've really explained on the channel, but basically what was going on with the apprenticeship, there was new legislation in and everything went a bit weird, but as a result, a lot of people that were on the same like placement course with me at the start also haven't had actual work placements yet. So there was like an optional course that we could all choose to do if we had the money. It would cost like £1,500, like, and just none of us could afford that at all, not on the amount that they were paying us. pretty much no one could afford it. And it seems like it's been like that across the country, because essentially what's happened now is where nobody came back to do that course, and at the same time nobody's getting placements, they basically just turned around and said, right, okay. And originally you'd pay £1,500, 60 of that was for the actual exam, and the rest of it was all for 2 weeks of solid training, right? But now what they've done is they've said, right, nobody's done it, never mind, we don't need all that money from you, so now we get it for free, except for the exam voucher, and we get 4 weeks of training. So for the next month, I'm basically back at work where I've been before Christmas, and it's basically just back to normal for a month for me, which is fine. I get an exam that I didn't think I was going to get. I get another qualification that I thought I would never have, and you know, it gives me more time, because while we're there, we'll also be able to look for other placements while we're going, is my assumption right now. So yeah, that's what's going on with me. So essentially, I didn't get that job, I didn't get the placement, but I'm back at work like normal. So I don't know what that means for the videos, to actually bring this to interest you guys. I've got so many plans of things I want to do for videos. Thing is, right, like, as I said, Hearts of the North isn't that long. The Winds of Change, I've really been pissing about taking my time with this, really. I would have thought Winds of Change Part 3 would be out by now. I have no idea when Part 3 will be out, but the truth is, we've got, I don't know, maybe 40, and this is quite a lot, but 40 videos isn't actually that much if you put it in context of the entire Let's Play. I reckon that's about it, and then we've done all of the content. So I've got all the, and I've had these ideas for a very, very long time, that I'm thinking of doing now. And that, you know, that's a big reason why I've started doing these more Guild Wars 2 mechanic focused things as well, because it's something that I've wanted to do, and now that sort of this kind of content's slowing down, is something that I can keep focused on. But there are a lot of things I want to do. I don't know whether the work's going to be able to stop me from doing, like, for instance, one of them is going to be I'm hoping to do something about like quite an in-depth but a summary of the storyline of the first game, but it would be like I don't know, like a 20-minute or half an hour video dedicated to, like, the first one in my plans for this anyway. The first one would be a video talking about everything that happens with, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you know that I kind of see prophecies as two storylines. I actually kind of see it as the story of the fall of Ascalon, and then you've got the story of the Messart that happens afterwards. They just kind of seem stitched together. So what I would do is I'd have 2 videos on prophecies. Actually, I'd have one would be about Ascalon and all that stuff, and it would go into lots of detail, like detail about the royal family, about how Duke Barradin decided he didn't want to step up to the throne, but Adelburn did. All that kind of stuff, like really in depth, but telling it as an actual story. So it kind of would be function as the same thing as this Let's Play is intended to do, and that's sort of introduce the world to people who don't know about Guild Wars. But I see a lot of people doing that in a more concise format. Like, you know, kudos to you guys for watching it, who do watch it, but you know, a lot of people don't have time for this. So what I'm thinking is the concise format's alright, but I do want to go into the same kind of detail I went into for the Let's Play. Anyway, that's something I'm interested in doing, and then I do another one for the tale of Kryta and the Messart and so on, and on and on and on. And I'd probably get a few out there. Like, I do one on the years between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, and there'd be one on Eye of the North, and all that kind of stuff, juicy stuff. And it's an idea, but I just, especially going back to work soon, I don't know when that will be coming out. It's just, you know, these are just things I'm thinking of. I've been rambling for way too long, I didn't really want to talk on my way to the camp at all, but I guess we kind of have. So, the portal's just over there. I'll see you guys in a second when we walk through the portal, and we are at the camp for the continuation of this. So yeah. Alright, here we are once again for the second to last time. It's very misty here. I don't know, is it always this misty? I genuinely don't remember it looking so kind of grim. Maybe it's just because of the point in the storyline we're at. It is quite a grim moment. These people are in some serious danger. Let's get on up here and speak to... Wait, who's in charge here at the moment? Bartholos is in charge here. Wait, so does that mean he's not actually at the keep? Oh, I guess he's not actually. There's so many important characters at the keep. You just kind of... I can't believe you let this one slip. I mean, he was the leader of the Shining Blade, for Christ's sake. Hi, Bartholos. He says, well met, friends. Here you see what's left of the Shining Blade. The new recruits are coming in all the time to bolster our numbers. We expect the Lion Guard to join the fight as well when the Princess travels to Lion's Arch. I think we've read that before. And they presumably have joined the fight. I mean, they're already there. So, mustering a response. Here we go. Ha! Though it may have caught some unawares, this is exactly what I've been hoping for. We've backed the mantle into a corner and forced their hand. Now we fight on our own turf. Lion's Arch is a highly defensible location for the final battle to take place, and this will be the final battle. I can feel it. What's more, my men have been prepared to move out at a moment's notice for some time now. We have enough ships moored in Fisherman's Haven, this is what I love, to take our entire army to Lion's Arch on the double quick. You'd best continue on to the lab now, or you won't make it back to the city in time for the real fun. See you soon. This is so cool. They have a fleet. They have a fleet, and it's at Fisherman's Haven. How cool is that? That's where we just were. You never see the fleet or anything like that. When we do get back to Lion's Arch, you'll hear about how it sailed along. I love that idea. I really, really do. Oh, and he's gone. Okay, so at the same time, Guild Wars always does this. You get a big text box, but at the same time, people are talking in-game. He just said to everyone, "Attention, everyone! The White Mantle has mustered its armies and are marching to Lion's Arch. This is what we've been waiting for. So make for Fisherman's Haven immediately, where our ships await to take us to Lion's Arch. So grab your gear and let's move out." So, I think the idea of this quest is, if you go from the Temple of the Ages, actually, which, this would have been smart, I can't believe I didn't think of this. If you go from the Temple of the Ages, actually, not only will you get your 8-man team, but you'll obviously will have cleared the way to the camp already, so walking up to the Secret River Passage is not a problem. I don't think it's particularly well designed anyway. Look at them all move. Literally everyone leaves. Look at this. Look at this army moving. This is so cool. But yeah, I guess the idea is obviously, I don't think it's well designed because you're kind of just backtracking somewhere you've clearly already been, and what's more is you've been here a few times before, but whatever, I don't really mind. I don't think backtracking's too bad, specifically not in a bit of content like an update like this that is obviously set in a place that you've already been. There's going to be backtracking, is going to be a part of it, right? So I don't think that's too much of a big deal. But we're going to go up to the Secret River Passage, and I guess the idea is, this is what I was originally going to say, is that it's quite well designed in that you don't sort of then just map travel somewhere else and walk off. This whole quest, and I'm not going to be able to translate it very well because honestly I don't feel it that much, but I guess the whole quest you're supposed to be feeling a sense of urgency here. It's like, oh god, everything's happening, we've got to get going, go. You will, like, as the quest continues, but it's like, I think it's quite cool how they didn't end up having like the Secret River Passage like right outside of the Temple of the Ages or something, because it's one of those things. It's always there, just in the back somewhere, you know, where they've not really justified map travel, or they had justified it when the game originally came out. There were these magical maps, and you know, even in Nightfall, didn't someone say, "Oh, my mummy invented these maps" or something stupid like that? It's like, they say that, and now they're kind of contradicting themselves, and it doesn't really exist. Is this a dead end? It looks like a dead end. No? Okay, it's not a dead end. So, I don't know. And they haven't turned around and said, "Oh, no, you can't map travel anymore." They haven't said, "Oh, your maps are ripped," because obviously in the gameplay-wise, they are still there. So, whatever. It's a little bit weird. I think they did okay with it. We're just going to go straight up to the Secret River Passage, and I'll catch you guys there when we get towards Zin and Blim.